What I've realized about Ma Kali is that she is a subtle goddess. She she's so subtle that she's just behind a step behind the vastness of everything that is. I'm a Shakta, so I think that she is really the ultimate reality, that she is the deepest, she is the womb that surrounds everything, the infinite womb in a way. But even if you're not talking about her as as Brahman, as soul, as all of our souls being bits of her, or that she is the source that is behind everything, and the infinity in which is the womb in which everything is, in which everything exists. Even if you don't think about her like that, she is extremely subtle in her love and guidance. So in meditation, I think I've had a number of spiritual experiences. And, this isn't spiritual experiences don't just come out of nowhere and just happen all the time. I mean, there's a lot of minor ones, and then there's a lot of ones that people convince themselves of that are like, oh, that was so spiritual. I experienced this when it was kind of like they convinced themselves of something, and it kind of they thought it was spiritual, but it was more like a forced hallucination where they convinced themselves that something happened or wanted something to happen so much that it was almost like a little bit of psychosis. So, watch out for that. You don't have to question everything, but always be a little bit questioning of your spiritual experiences. And I'm pretty discerning at this point as far as my spiritual experiences go, and I know what real ones really feel like and the significance of ones when they hit, because you just know and you're not convincing yourself of it, but you have a deep knowledge of what just happened. But I was meditating one time, fairly recently, a few weeks back, and I've meditated a lot, and I meditated on Makali a lot. But I started using, weeks back, I started using something that just kind of, I would say, popped into my head, but I know that she inspired me to do it. But as I breathed in, however long it takes, 4 to 5 seconds, and I was saying Ma, and then dragging the word out, Ma, in my head, once again, sitting down in meditation, but kind of my butt on the end of the meditation cushion, on the very edge of it, the front edge, with my tailbone directly on the edge, how I meditate, and with my legs crossed, and my pointer finger and my thumb together like this, and my palms resting on my knees. Meditating like that, spine erect on the edge of my meditation cushion, and breathing in for about 5 seconds, ma, and then hold it in for about two, and then as I let it out, and this is all breathing through the nose, and this is all the words are just in my head, not even on the back of the tongue. And when you start meditating with kind of words in your head or mantras, or you're saying something mentally, you want to use the back of your tongue, but eventually you got to get to a point where it's just in your head. You're creating vibrations in the chitta, in the mind stuff, when you're just doing the words in your head, rather than engaging with, your tongue, engaging with external reality. Just your mind, just your consciousness is engaging with your reality, and it could have effect externally as well. Even if the mantra is just in your head, you can make the biggest ripples that way within your being, within your spirit, within yourself, and within your environment. But, and then as I'm letting it out, another 5 seconds, and I'm saying Kali very slowly, just in my head. And then once again, keep it out for 2 seconds, sometimes three, and then breathe back in again. But after I did that for a time, and I always meditate for around 12 minutes. I've gone through periods where I meditate more and gone through periods where I meditate less. But while I was, letting it out, I let out the Kali, and then at some point during the meditation, after doing this, after saying it many times, Ma Kali, again and again and again, at some point, um, my eyes were focused directly in front of me, and I saw these beautiful divine eyes open up in my eyes, and my eyes are closed in the darkness, in the black. But it also felt like, so when you meditate it, you might not see anything per se, but there's an energy that you're perceiving with your third eye in a way. Just mild. It's not always super dramatic. But when I saw these beautiful divine feminine eyes open. And I say divine because they were very idealized. They were not like a cartoon, but they were like very idealized feminine eyes. Long lashes. I'm not going to describe them exactly, but very, curved, feminine, and really just glowing and beautiful, with a prettiness and a beauty that is is honestly, I can just say divine, just remarkable. Just, and then, on the back of my eyelids, I just saw them open, and they were looking at me in front of my eyes in a way, but I felt my consciousness and my mind connect, and looked at me for a little bit, few seconds, and then close. And I realized that part of the communication was that, I'm looking at you, you got my attention, but also she kind of wanted me to look more up, like more towards my third eye rather than right in front of me. Because at some point during the meditation, I slowly kind of went up a little bit, and then they kept on saying Ma Kali, and then she kind of appeared, and my eyes were drawn even more into my third eye. And then it felt like there was a whole space in this room that was bigger than the room. And then, even after the eyes were gone, there's a space that was bigger than the room. There was a space in my meditation that was bigger than, it didn't feel like it was just, in this space kind of in front of me or in my head. It felt like my whole meditation space was bigger, like the mind stuff, the chitta, had like a divine ripple, and everything, I just felt bigger in my being. Everything just felt a little bigger. It wasn't like huge, but I just felt bigger, and I was also drawn to look more directly diagonally into my third eye. But it was such a subtle hint and a subtle display and a subtle acknowledgement. These divine, motherly, feminine eyes were so beautiful, and not even in like a sexual way. There's no sexual thing about it. It was like, she looked at me for a second, and this was the Divine Mother. This was Kali, and she was looking at me, acknowledging me, and looking at me for a second, and showing me that she was looking at me, just for a few seconds, and then closing the eyes again, and she was gone. But she gave me a hint to look more up, and she increased the sent a vibration in my chitta and my mind stuff, and created a little bit of bigger space around me, expanded my being a little bit, and it was such a beautiful little thing. And and when I saw these eyes, I wasn't paranoid, it wasn't scary, I wasn't super shocked. It was like knowledge. I understood what was going on, I understood what she was saying, and I understood what I should do, like all in once. And that is the hallmark of so many spiritual experiences. You're just kind of understanding it all at once, and everything makes sense, and everything's a little better. and you understand. It's not just a hallucination where it's like, whoa, I just saw some eyes or something like that. That's not part of it. It's like you're given knowledge and you're expanded a little bit. And that the subtlety of it is so Ma Kali. She's not an exterior being. She's a goddess. She's a divine mother, and she gives knowledge, understanding, and moksha and liberation. These things, and it's all spiritual. And these things aren't what people usually seek. They seek wealth. They seek to gain this, to gain that, to gain even confidence, even charisma, stuff they could use exterior. But Ma Kali gives you the knowledge to advance, to move beyond, to grow, to be, and to be liberated ultimately. And that's why she's not like the most ideologically or philosophically or spiritual or religious, like the sexiest in those ways, because, people want stuff. But she is subtle, and she gives you what you really need. And once you realize how subtle she is, you realize that you need to be very, very subtle to be behind everything, to be the womb in which everything is, the infinite womb in a way, which seems paradoxical, but that's the way it is. And that's the way that she is. But she is so subtle and so beautiful. But yeah, I just wanted to share this little experience and this little explanation about how Ma Kali is beautiful and how she is so subtle. And I guess I'll go ahead and throw in another experience that I've talked about before. I haven't talked about that one before, but this one, when I first got the first Ma Kali statue I got, the first metal and physical representation of her that I was going to use for rituals and worship, I was walking out of Walmart. I had no idea when this statue was going to show up, and I was walking out of Walmart, and I remember stepping upon the curb right before I'm going to step into like the street where I go across to the parking lot or go into the parking lot. And I was just hit with this huge sense of connection. I don't know how long it lasted. It could have lasted a second. It could have lasted 30 minutes. I figured out it probably only lasted like maybe 20 seconds. But in those 20 seconds, time completely was irrelevant. And I felt a connection. I couldn't see exactly where I was. And, a lot of people, spiritual people or yogis and sages talk about this, but it's a totally different experience when you experience it. And sometimes people think that they experience it because they feel good or because they had like a spiritual experience, but you can't really describe it until you actually experience this, to where you just disappear. Like you're no longer there. You're no longer a part of you're no longer a part of everything. You are everything. The lines of your body are gone. And there's this wonderful feeling because in that connection, you realize that that's the connection you always wanted. That's the connection that is your true essence. That oneness is your true essence. And it's way better than any drug you could say. And it feels good because that is our natural state, to be at one with everything. And all the bad feelings are when we feel more isolated, even isolated within ourselves. But that was a remarkable experience. And it was, and then when I did get home, the statue was waiting. It was right there on the doorstep, and I had no idea when it was going to show up. And it, right after that experience, I really, obviously I got home and I realized I showed up. But yeah, she's so subtle, and she may not appear before you in full form and speak to you like you're speaking to a human or something like that, but she'll give you these beautiful little hints, little gifts, little understandings, and that's how you advance in your spiritual path. It's all these subtle things that guide you home. At any rate, I just want to talk about how Ma Kali is very subtle. Hope you enjoyed this. Hit that thumbs up down there, like this video, and feel free to share it wherever you like. Jai Ma. Ma Kali is my first and foremost. She is my source. And I hope that you think about her. I hope that you think about the Divine Mother in some form. And that love, because it's beautiful. At any rate, thank you very much for watching. I hope all of you have a wonderful day.